गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम to Gana Shot. Gana Shot में आप सबका स्वागत है. Today we're going to see how we're going to negotiate the Trump trap. And to discuss all this with me is General KJ Singh. Sir, good evening and welcome to Gana Shot once again. After a
Good
long
evening,
time.
Shankar. Thanks a lot for this very topical and interesting subject we are going to discuss. Thank you. And viewers, I hope you are also excited about this subject because it's an interesting subject. And we all have to somehow now live with this reality that Trump is here. We cannot just live in a make-believe world that the world has changed. We have a different format to live in. So after Jan Shankar makes his opening remarks, let's discuss this topic, please.
Yes, sir. I think it's a very topical thing and it's on everyone's mind. Look, I have a fundamental question. We've discussed this topic over the phone, otherwise also. And you said you'll come back to me, and you came back to me, and you said Trump trap. How does India negotiate the Trump trap? Before you give your mind out, sir, my question to you is, why do you consider Trump is laying a trap for us? And how do that macro thinking is something which I think we need to understand, and that's an important point you have made.
No, after we discussed, I also deliberated on the subject heading. So, viewers, when we say trap, it is not, don't see the trap entirely from the way we think of a trap. The use of this term trap is for us to also sensitize ourselves about the fact that every challenge can also give us a kind of opportunity.
Yeah.
If we use this situation properly, then we can carve out a very interesting opportunity for ourselves. So
I think you made a very valid point. What you said, I just like to highlight it as part of our thing. What General KJ Singh is saying in bigger terms is there's an opportunity waiting. If you don't take that opportunity, you go into your own trap. And you shouldn't fall into your own trap with, when you're dealing with Mr. Trump. And of course, we all know he's transactional. But is he not transactional? In this meeting with Prime Minister Modi, has he given a greater strategic signal? And if you look at what's happening, in Riyadh, where European Union and Ukraine have been left off, and he's opened talks with Russia directly, and it's going to become controversial, and a lot of people are talking about it already. We are living in interesting times, and what General KJ Singh said, this is not topical; it is beyond topical, and you will find most of the commentary internationally is all about Trump, USA, Ukraine, and Russia. But how do we, discuss all this from an Indian viewpoint? How will the events which are coming out affect us? And what does it mean for us? That's the thrust. That's what I'm sure General KJ Singh will bring out. So the floor is yours. Please take on.
My dear viewers, after Jan Shankar has laid down the basic framework, let me tell you that I am looking at this only from the problem of defense modernization, our preparation and capability building. So let me give you some fundamental rules about capability building that I have understood. I was Additional Director General of Perspective Planning, dealing with capability building in Army headquarters. So फर्स्ट थिंग इज तारीफ के पीछे टैरिफ है. प्लीज रिमेंबर दैट कि एनीबडी हु इज प्रेजिंग यू एंड स्पेशली ट्रम्प is very focused on the tariff. So तारीफ और टैरिफ के बीच में है ट्रैप. आपने इसको समझने का कोशिश करना है. The second thing is there are no free lunches in this world of transactional dealings. Thinking of free lunches is over. You know, there used to be times when Russia gave us weapons for bananas. America gave us Trenton ship, which we made at Jalashwa as part of its excess equipment which it was giving away. But when it gave it, it very well knew that to operationalize that ship, we'll need to do a lot of ancillary work. And that all went to America. So there are no free lunches. The second thing is this thing about transfer of technology. It's a very interesting term. आप बार बार सुनोगे transfer of technology. Well, allow me to tell you, nobody will transfer complete technology to you. Nobody. There is nothing known as complete transfer of technology. In many cases, it amounts to just license production. We bought T-72s, we bought T-90s. Do we make all of them in India? No, sir, no. No, my dear friends. We still import very critical items like 1G46. Like if we make APFSDS, the core penetrator, tungsten carbide core penetrator, is imported from Russia. And Russia has told us they will not give us more than 35,000 per year. So that is some kind of a capped production. Then most countries will give you print to design. They'll give you a design, they'll charge their money, and then you will have to productionize through the route of first they'll give you completely knockdown kit, then they will give you semi knockdown kit, and then they will help you to indigenize to certain extent. But they will never give you the real know how, which is know why. That they will not give you. So, and we must remember, India is the largest importer. A study which was done from 2019 to 23 has established, CIPRI has established that we import about 9.8%, about 10% of global major imports of arms. But in this huge big import, there is also the fact that we are the biggest market. So there is a leverage. Most countries want to be in India. You know, India has the largest T-90 fleet which is operational. Even Russia doesn't have so many T-90s operational. India also has the largest fleet of C-17 Globemasters, those huge big aircrafts which America has given us, and Poseidon, the naval maritime aircraft, P-8I, the largest fleet which is operational outside USA is with India. So India has got huge opportunities in terms of becoming hubs for medium repair, servicing, for warehousing for other countries which have got smaller fleets. So that advantage is there. And that is where we have to negotiate. That is where the trap can become an opportunity. Now, let me take you to one by one. As we look at our fleet, our equipment, you know, at one time, India had about 70% then it became 62%, and currently 36% of our fleet is Russian origin. So, how's it to deal with Russia before we compare it with America? Well, Russian equipment is economical, it is robust, it somehow suits Indian psyche also. That Indian psyche is such that we are ready to be in a cramped up environment and we want hardy equipment, which looks hardy. And Russians were considerate. They gave us equipment in rupee payment in exchange for commodities like bananas. People joke around. But the Russian equipment, by and large, is evolutionary in nature. It will have a graduated growth of technology. T-34, T-54, T-55, T-62, T-72, T-90. You'll see, so many commonalities in that. And same is for their aircrafts. MiGs, and like that it goes. So it's a evolutionary design which Russians by and large keep. So that makes it easier to sort of maintain continuity, logistics, all that is possible. Russians have also done technology transfer with us, but not full, not honest. They have charged the money for it, or they have taken their pound of flesh. But we cannot ever forget the fact that in certain spheres like strategic uh, submarines, nuclear submarines, it is the only Russians who gave us the technology. They leased chakras to us, and now we are able to make our own submarines. Somewhere we have copied, reverse engineered, had a benefit of collaboration, but we have Ariane, Arigat, and all that is coming up. Well, the biggest success story is BrahMos. But is BrahMos 100% indigenous? No, it's not. It is only 76% indigenous currently. Earlier it used to be 85%. No, now we are trying to make it 85% indigenous, from 76% to 85. And then hopefully in 2-3 years' time, maybe even 100%. But the fact of the matter is, despite Russia and China getting close, Russia has not stopped us from supplying BrahMos to Philippines or negotiating with Vietnam. It is well-known fact that China is not liking it. China and Philippines, China and Vietnam are in adversarial kind of a situation in South China Sea. Yet Russia has allowed us to supply to Philippines and negotiate with others. That is the fact of the matter. So dealing with Russians is easier. Customization of their equipment is possible. We bought MiG from them and we have completely changed the avionics. We put the Israeli avionics, even in Sukhois. So it is possible to do this with Russian equipment. Their end user requirements are not so stringent. They have allowed us to do customization. It is also possible to apply weapons as per our requirements. And finally, it is also a fact of the matter that getting spare parts on Russian equipment is becoming tougher, is becoming more difficult. Because Russian assembly lines have closed. Sometimes we've had to source them from various countries, and the quality has not been up to the mark. So I thought I'll lay this out for you so that when you think of the Trump trap or Trump opportunity, you know this format. The next country to compare, we don't get any equipment from them, is China. China follows the USSR origin model because a lot of their initial equipment is sourced from USSR, Soviet Union, like the T series of tanks, what they're fielding against us, T-95 and all, are actually evolutionary development of T-59. T-54 is called T-59 over there, and like that, what they've done. And even their aircrafts have taken the Soviet Union's line of development. Chinese are the best in reverse engineering and cloning. It's an art in China. Somebody said Chinese philosophy is acquire, produce, export. So, imitation, as per a Taiwanese professor, is a complete science and art in China. They do repetitive imitation, that is faithful production of that equipment, cloning. Then they do creative imitation. They add certain elements. Then even they do disruptive imitation. Try to change the entire thing around that. But they are successful. But it will not be possible to say that their equipment is of a very high grade. Still, there are question marks. Wherever they've exported equipment, it is run into difficulties. But the hype is big. The narrative shaping is huge. But the fact of the matter is, Chinese drones didn't do well in Libya and so many other places. Chinese aircrafts are having problems. Chinese helicopters have got grounded in many countries. But Chinese are supplying huge, big quantity of arms to various countries. Not to India at all, but all around India, it's the Chinese equipment. Pakistan, in Bangladesh, some equipment in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and all these places, Chinese engineers and Chinese servicing personnel have to be present, giving them a major advantage. Then let us look at France and Italy, France and Israel. They supply to India about, France gives about 13% it is given, Israel is about 10%. Getting equipment from these two countries is lots more easier. In the sense, they follow the regulations laid down by India in terms of offsets. That means they have certain parts of equipment which are got made in India, offsets are created, and that creates capability in India. Like Rafael has done offsets with the Ambani's, Mukesh, not
Anil
Mukesh,
Ambani.
but Anil Ambani's company. So like that, they do. France are amenable to that. And Israelis are even more amenable to that. So to that extent, it is easier when we get their equipment. But these equipment, France is quite costly, not as costly as America, but it is costly. And maintenance and life cycle support of that equipment is costs quite a lot of money. And this time when we bought Rafael, the major stumbling block was France was not ready to take guarantee for equipment which, if it was to be made by HAL. So they don't have too much of confidence in our production agencies per se. Then there are countries like UK, Italy, Sweden, Brazil. We have some equipment from them. They are also dealing like with France and Israel. It is possible to deal like that. We don't get any equipment from Turkey. But Turkey is today emerged as a huge big supplier of drones, radio sets, night vision devices. So it's a country where we need to study their models. They will not ever, may not, because of ideology and all, they may not supply to us. But Turkey is making inroads with Indonesia. We were to give them BrahMos, but it appears Turkey is doing some mischief over it. So now we come to the all important thing, and this is the operative part of today's discussion. USA, America. Traditionally, America did not supply equipment to us except for initial years when we got some aircrafts like Sabre jets and starfighters and all that time. But beyond that, we did after, and especially after 62 war, but we fought 65 war against American equipment. Pakistan fielded M48. We had Centurions, British. We had old and tired Sabre jets and nets, but Pakistan fielded Sabre jets. I'm sorry, I think in last part I said Americans gave us Sabre jets. No, they gave it to Pakistan. So we fought the American equipment in 65 and defeated it. And nearly the same thing happened in 71. So in 2007 or so, Americans started loosening their restrictions against India. Earlier, they were very taken up by India becoming a nuclear nation and all. So in 2007, they gave us Trenton, a ship, which became Jal Ashwa, landing platform dock. And since then, Americans have provided us equipment. And today, 13% of our fleet is American. I told you that France is also about 13%. And Russians are now down to 36 and are coming down slowly more. So America has made steady inroads, and we have bought equipment worth 20 billion since 2008 from America. So how does America sell the equipment? America has highway or my way approach, which is foreign military sales or government to government deal. What it implies is, by and large, no trials or very limited trials, because equipment, they say, is already in service, proven. So there's no need for extensive trials and all that. That's what they say. No offsets. So they don't do offsets by and large. Huge big end user requirements. They'll tell you which country to use this equipment against. No source codes for customization. They'll not give you source codes. So customization of that equipment is near impossible. Only country which has managed to defeat this is Israel. Israel bought American aircrafts in prototype stage, like it bought F-35 as a prototype before even it entered American Air Force. And then it has put its own electronic warfare suit and all those sensors and all on. F-35s are being flown by 17 countries. 16 have no customization. Israel has. Because Israel is also a special country for America. Can we hope for such a treatment? Unlikely. Not possible. American equipment is very expensive. So expensive that it took us 6 years to negotiate to buy drones, which we have now done the orders. And in between, we also leased Sea Guardian drones of the same variety because we needed it. It was emergency. But we thought in this we will be able to make it cost effective, bring down the price, show our seriousness to America. But America is expensive. There is also a danger of CATSA, countering American adversaries through Sanctions Act. So as 400 AD missile system could have attracted cuts, but we have managed to get some waiver. American equipment is also bound by foundational agreements, which India did, like Comcasa, Lemoa, Beka. Like India has customized them. Other countries did LSA, we did Lemoa for Logistic Exchange Memorandum of Agreement. Other countries did something called as SISMOA. We did Comcasa. Like this, we have done that. But all the same, America has control on the equipment that they give to a large extent. So now, what is this new round of negotiations which has taken place? It is against the backdrop that during Biden administration, there was something called as ISET, Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technologies. It was a major promise. It had huge, big opportunities. But somehow it didn't, because of bureaucratic things here, America not fully trusting us, Pannu affair, and so many things, it didn't fully get operationalized. It was only talking. Gains were orders for F-404, 414, but no real hand holding except in some underwater technologies. So now what has happened? Now we have Trump is also a very skillful negotiator. He's a great deal maker. So he has repackaged the whole thing. So now it is compact, catalyzing opportunities for military partnership, accelerated commerce and technology. So any of you writing any competitive exam, be prepared for this abbreviation. It will come, or acronym. In short answer, and also maybe a question on this. Compact. Please go home and Google and read about it. Short question I'm telling. The next thing is trust. TRUS.
ये खोज से मिले थे
What is trust? Transforming relationship using strategic technologies. Now this is also something which has been done. Again, another question. It's part of that only. So look at this. If you are in competitive exams. So America has given us very large amount of equipment. I have a list with me. We have bought, and it's good to go through with that list. We have bought 13 C-130J, what is called Super Hercules. We have bought 11 C-17 Globemasters, the largest fleet operating outside America. We also have bought Chinook, big helicopters, 15 of them. We have bought Apaches, 22 for Air Force, 6 for Army, but 6 not yet delivered. This is a a question mark, a warning signal. Why those 6 are not being delivered? Huge, big sort of question mark is there, and worry on part of India. Then we have ordered Sky Guardian and Sea Guardian, these armed drones, 22 plus 6, correction 31. 22 plus 6 is, I told you, Apache attack captors. These are 31 of them. We've also ordered radars, engines, missiles. Trenton, I told you, Jalashwa. We've got 12 Poseidon maritime reconnaissance aircraft, largest fleet outside, and we are going to buy more probably. We also have 24 Seahawk reconnaissance helicopters, maritime reconnaissance helicopters. We have naval missiles, gas turbines, sonobuoys, torpedoes. Similarly, in Air Force, we have radars, engines, and missiles. In land warfare, we bought gun howitzers from America. F777, which is, we bought about 145. This was one of the earliest deals. It was because after Bofors, we couldn't get we are still suffering from what I call as Bofors syndrome. Then we also got counter bombardment radars, some shells, and 145,000 assault rifles, 6 SOR. So we have inventory. We also ordered F404, and then now we have done a deal for 415 engines. You know, our Kaveri engine system development program failed. So because of that, we were forced to source these engines from USA for our Tejas and Tejas Mark 1. And later we have to look for an engine for FGF, 5th generation fighter aircraft. But that engine supply has been stalled. America gives various excuses, that supply chain and all, but I think it was a coercive tactics. Similarly, Apache helicopters, 6 of them, have been delayed. Somewhere caught up in this is American pressure on us to buy Strikers and Javelin. As you know, my dear viewers, India has very large fleet. I told you India is the biggest market. India has got huge big deployment of ICVs, infantry combat vehicles, which are called BMP-2. They are tracked. They have a gun, Karen 30 millimeter. But America is insisting that we buy Strikers. Striker is an American system which is wheeled, which is not tracked. And there is a pressure for us to also buy Javelin missiles and integrate them onto Strikers. So this is a big challenge for us. And luckily for us, America allowed us to do some trials on Strikers and Javelin. Those trials were done. We found their engines underpowered. Now Americans have assured us that they'll be putting a higher powered engine, like engine which is there currently. Sorry, 1 minute. Sorry. The engine which is there currently is only about 450 horsepower.
450 horsepower.
They want to upgrade it to about 700. So Cummins, they are looking at that. But I have reservations. These are my reservations. I don't know what kind of trials are going on, what will come out of that. But initial reports were not very optimistic, not very encouraging. But the fact of the matter is that these vehicles were offered to us in 2007-8 during Yuddha Abhyas exercises when I was a brigadier. We did exercise with them. So technology is not new. It is 2007-8, and it was that time not totally new. It was already in service for 4 or 5 years. So from there, if you take it, it is about 16 years. It's a 2.5 decade old technology. Should we buy it? When India has set up now a kind of ecosystem based on Mahindras, Tatas, Bharat Forge, some collaboration of ordnance factories and DRDO. And there is a huge big ecosystem which has come up for protected vehicles, ICV class of vehicles. Tata is even setting up a plant in Casablanca and Morocco for this. See, when I was a student of tank technology, I was told, when you are about to break the technology threshold, you'll be provided that technology. Because the country which has it doesn't want you to break that threshold. So there is a huge big interest of Americans somehow to get into this space. Should we allow it? That's the question mark. The second thing is the Javelin missile. Javelin is an expensive missile compared to Javelin was offered to us in 2008, 7, 8 and all. We fired it also. I also fired it on Babina ranges. It is a good missile, but it is a man-in-the-loop missile. Unlike Spike, Israeli missile, which is fire and forget. Israeli missile is cheaper, more versatile compared to American missile. But this is a trap, in my perception. Should we fall into it? That's the question. We have to remain alive. We have to negotiate. Sometimes we may have to give in. We may buy limited numbers. But then we should get matching concessions somewhere else. Because it can happen. Nobody will give you, I tell you, there are no free lunches. You want hand holding for your power plants, you may give in, you may say, okay, I'll use them in certain sectors where they may meet my purpose. India has got a huge big inventory. But then we should be conscious of the fact that we have to get matching returns in lieu of that. I must also tell our viewers that, India has got a huge big challenge of power packs. We have challenges in terms of technologies like night vision devices, submarines which are nuclear powered, then night vision devices, then guidance and control in certain kind of missiles. But the biggest challenge we have is to make power plants.
Yeah, it's a 1 minute. I think we have a major problem in terms of power pack and engines. We can't make an auto engine, we can't make a tank engine, we can't make a car engine, we can't make a jet engine. All yours.
Sir, I'm totally with you. See, all of us say that we are builders Navy. Navy is most Atmanirbhar. But do you know Navy has three components: float, move, fight. Float is easiest. Buoyancy is required, steel is there. Any country can do it. So we are able to do it. Move. Can we move our platform? Sorry, no.
No.
The gas
We get
turbines
it from
come from
Ukraine.
Ukraine. And some we now contracted for smaller vessels from America also. So we need to make our own gas turbines. And for fight, you need sensors and weapons. Some weapons like Barak, we still get from Israel, but we are gathering capability there. But like taking Jan Shankar's point, we can't make engines for our aircraft. Kaveri failed. Now we are looking at engines. F404, 414, and maybe for FGFA, what engine? Then we also have a problem for engines for helicopters. See, we used to get engines after collaborations with Turbo Mecha, Safran. So we have managed to make Shakti engine, but we have problems and we need some more hand holding for helicopters also. And last but not the least is the tank engines. We can't make engines beyond 5 to 700 horsepower. And today, frontline engines are looking at 1500 and more. So when Zoravar was being made, MTU did not give us engine for 1 full year, which is a German company, which gives us engines for our MBT Arjun, and it gives engines to Leopard and German tanks. So we were forced to go to Cummins. Cummins is an American company, and we have taken Cummins engine. So MTU was to be 800 horsepower. Cummins is only 760. So these things matter. Power to weight ratio gets affected, especially in high altitude. So I am stating this to you that whenever we negotiate, our negotiators have to skillfully convince USA to help us to acquire this capability, if not top of the line, at least of the variety where we can do these things, or convince them to set up the plants in India and help us to somehow find our way home in these technologies. That is the biggest challenge for us. If we can use these deals, I'm not even talking of F-35. Why I'm not talking of F-35? Let me tell you. See, firstly, I feel that Air Force will lay down this 42 squadron. I'm not convinced. I feel there is a need for complete review, because this was laid down when we had a MiG class of aircraft. Today we are not having MiG class. We've got Rafale and Soos, and we've got a different class. And increasingly, it is improving. The precision, the ranges, the maneuverability, everything is improving. And the reach, refuelers, radar coverage, all that is changing the dynamics of air warfare. But beyond that, many countries are even questioning the need for a manned platform. Why shouldn't you do it with drones? Ukraine is doing it. Elon Musk is saying it. So there is a need for us to also, I am not saying aircrafts are out of fashion, but we are gullible people. Like the biggest thing being spoken of is Su-57 will win the dogfight. But will there be a dogfight? Who will do dogfight now? When we bombed Balakot, Did we go to do any dogfight? We just barely crossed the LOC and launched the missile from here. So everything is beyond visual range. There is no need for dogfight kind of a situation. Not of the variety we are looking for. So we should not, a lot of Air Force friends and veterans have told me Su-57 is much better than F-35. I'm not getting into that. But I can tell you that I sincerely believe that if we can convince America to maintain the schedule of F-404, 414 and empower our Tejas program, Mark 1, Mark 1 Alpha and all of Tejas, and beef up our numbers. And then we can look at buying 2-3 squadrons like Rafale. Because we are going to buy Rafales for our aircraft carriers. That deal is nearly through. So beyond that, do we need? Because once, see, Su-57's major advantage is the current assembly line of Sus can be converted quickly to that. But then we have to look at it. In the long term, do we hitch our wagon to Americans or do we hitch it with the Russians? And how much to go with Americans, because it should not impact our submarine and other such strategic programs. So we have to balance out. That's the skill which Indian arms negotiators have to play with. And there is enough scope because arms are not bought overnight. There is a long process. In that process, you can tire the other party out. So I hope our negotiators will use that. I'm sure they'll keep India's interest at heart, but I must warn you that we have made serious mistakes also. We bought equipment like BRDM. It's a ICV which we didn't require. Just bought it like this. Or Krasnopol. So there are many things like this we buy. Sometimes just on impulse or forced or convinced, not enough due diligence. But we need to do it. And like if Americans have agreed to these trials which we are doing with Striker and Javelin, even if we buy limited numbers, force them to localize technologies here and get things in return. Have linkages in that. So these are my broad observations of that. I am hopeful that we will convert it into an opportunity. Our negotiations will be skillful. We should be mindful of traps, but we probably are slowly going to get out of Russian this thing and move more towards American, French, Israeli, and even European conglomerate, which is making the military transport aircraft. Tata is doing that production. So that's coming from there. We have moved away from Antonov and IL and that. So slowly the shift is in that direction. So with this, I will finally, we've gone on for about 52 minutes. My concluding observations will be, we need to be skillful. There'll be no free lunches, none at all. Americans will force us into some soft deals, but then we should get returns in lieu. And we should also not get to, we are a very mature country, we should become at least. In a trying to read things like this, कि हमने ट्रम्प को चित कर दिया. We have, outfoxed Trump. दोस्तों, पिक्चर अभी बाकी है, अभी तो ट्रेलर ही चला है ना, तो लाइक तारीफ के पीछे टैरिफ है, ट्रेलर अभी चला है, पिक्चर बाकी है. Look at the whole thing and don't get too carried away by these narrative builders.
Yeah.
We are gunner shot must emerge as mature based on like what we have laid out for you.
Yeah.
Take note of these things.
Yeah.
And I
Completely,
will
sir. I completely agree with
I
you.
will some of these into slides and share it with Jan Shankar. I'll request
Yeah,
him to put
thanks a
it
lot.
on the slide so that please look at it from that angle. कि ऐसे हम अमेरिका से खरीदते हैं, ऐसे रशिया से खरीदी जाती है. This is the Chinese thing. So then we can take our call. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, sir. I think you made some fantastic points. That's what I tell all our viewers. On this channel, you'll get something from inside. Why inside? We have all done this. He's been ADGPP, I've been DGRT. I did 6 years, I dealt with the Americans for the M777. And before that, I did for the ANTPQ 37.
During your time, this gun howitzer came. You
So we
made this
know what
possible.
we are talking. Yeah, we know exactly what we are talking of. Exactly what we talk in gunner shot is absolute. I see a lot of people. I mean, I'm taking this opportunity to first put across our credentials. A lot of people saying, "Yeah, ये बुड्ढे हैं, uncles हैं, इनको कुछ पता नहीं है, ये नहीं है." We built India to where it is, and we'll continue to build India for where it has to go. That's the first part. मानो ना मानो वो बात अलग है. जो एक्सपीरियंस है ना, वो जो हम बता रहे हैं, जो इन्होंने आज बताया है, आपको कहीं नहीं मिलेगा. And this is important even for those chaps who are serving, senior officers, because they don't know all the story. जो ये केजी सिंह साहब ने बताया आज. Now let me add a few issues in about 4-5 minutes. The FMS deal needs a lot of understanding. FMS is the foreign military sales story of USA. Needs a lot of understanding. If you understand, there are a lot of loopholes for us to do the needful. For example, M777, we said we will not take it unless they are tried in high altitude and deserts and maintenance. Well, it happened. We didn't try the gun in normal conditions, but we tried the gun in high altitude. And वही तो हमें इस्तेमाल करना था, हमने किया है. अच्छा, then so that is also then negotiations are also possible. Offsets, direct offsets नहीं होते, but offsets are possible on the OEM because every equipment of America is from OEM. Lockheed Martin हो या Northrop Grumman हो या जो भी है, OEM है. तो ये अमेरिका वाले ऑफसेट का नहीं लेते हैं, ठेका. But they say, okay, offsets is possible through OEM directly, and the OEM does the offsets. It's happening. It's happening in many cases. The second, one more thing I must tell you. The thing with America is there's certain positives. There are very great positives with America, which we should understand because it's a two-sided affair. The equipment is very good. 16 आने का equipment होता है वो. There's no problem. Technology is perfect. Equipment is always perfect. Second, it's difficult for to get into a deal with the Americans. The negotiation, everything is very hard. But once you reach the deal, they generally honor the deal unless there are geopolitical issues, like in Apaches and 404. So when you do a deal with Americans, you should be very clear that you're dealing geopolitically at one level. If you go past the geopolitical level, they're the best for after sales service and attending, and they take pride in their equipment, right? So when you deal with Russians or Americans, you have to understand the characteristics of these people to make a success out of the whole deal. The next thing is, it's very significant what General KJ Singh said. With France, Israel, America, you are at about 13 to 14% of which you are importing. And Russia is about 36%. Let's be practical. Practically, India will never be self-sufficient, technology-wise. जैसे हमने बोला है, you don't make an auto engine, you don't make a car engine, All engines for cars, autos come from abroad, incidentally. You don't make a bus engine, you don't make a lorry engine, you don't make a tank engine, you don't make a helicopter engine, you don't make a jet engine, right? We don't make engines for some reason. We are blind, and this is something which someone high up like Mr. Modi must listen. AI से ज्यादा नहीं मिलेगा आपको, पर इंजन से ज्यादा मिलेगा हमें, right? And I've been telling people कि यार और तो छोड़ो, आप एक ऑटो रिक्शा इंजन बना लो और चला लो, वो भी नहीं होता. हम बनाते हैं, मैन्युफैक्चर करते हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं हो हमारे पास उसका. दैट्स द पॉइंट. So we need to focus on those technologies which we don't have, and that unfortunately we're not doing. Let me put it on the table. That's a problem for us, and we have to resolve it. Okay. Now going back to the 36% Russian, ideally, if we have everyone in the region of about 15 to 20%, everyone from whom we are importing, there's a balance. We are now not over dependent on anyone. Earlier, we were over dependent on Russia. Now we have started reducing. We shouldn't over depend on USA, which USA wants us to become over dependent. But as far as we play this game between Russia, Israel, France, like USA, and maybe some technology even from South Africa and other European countries, and balance them out, will be okay. Right. The next thing is that we all have been a great success in handling this. So we have some strong points. And we are one of the only countries which can make all their equipment work with our system. And we have fought wars with it. So it is not as if we don't know what to do. But at the end of the day, we have to move towards Atmanirbharta. Usme to do rai hai hi nahi. Atmanirbharta. Now, coming to this whole thing about Javelin, Striker, F-35, F-404, and other technologies, they also have to be seen under a broader thing of small modular reactors, energy. You need to see against space technologies. You need to see against AI. So, while General KJ Singh has given the issues and the opportunities and the traps of getting defense cooperation, I think we in India have to see it against the broader issue. And in that, we have more leverages. For example, in AI, we have tremendous leverages. Believe it or not, the bulk manpower or the HR component of AI will be from India in future. Right? That you have great capability for energy, potential for energy, for conversion. And if you want AI in India, I keep saying this, if you want AI to be made in India, India needs to have GPUs. And if you need GPUs, you need energy. So it is a compulsion on the part of USA to come to us for this. So it's not necessarily a trade-off defense to defense. Something else somewhere needs to be traded off against this. So I think these are the issues which we have to focus on. Shouldn't get cowed down. There's always a way of saying no. And these defense deals don't happen tomorrow, nor day after. There's a lot of news in the thing that, Pakistan will get those, J-35s or whatever China is making. And tomorrow, and they'll be stronger than us. It won't happen. Don't worry. उनका तो अभी बात भी नहीं हुआ है, right? It's going to, even if Pakistan starts, they don't have the money to afford it. Even if China gives it free, which it cannot give. I'm making a statement. China cannot give because China is not that rich as we think it is, right? And it will take another 10 years for them to get this and incorporate it. And please, also let me tell you, during Balakot strike and what they did, swift retort, they didn't use JF-17s. They used F-16s. Right? They themselves are not confident of Chinese equipment. So Chinese equipment has never fought anywhere. So what we talk of China and its capability is also a big question mark. So there are a lot of issues in this. So don't get unnerved, don't get carried away. We have a larger strategic relationship to go with USA, which we must do it in a balanced manner. Right? And we don't know at this point of time how Russia will turn out tomorrow. The point which he said, Russia and China have that no holds barred kind of a relationship. So will it put us in a fix? We don't know. In one case, it has not. So far, it has not. But in the case of BrahMos, it's not put us in a fix in the case of S400. But tomorrow we don't know. So we should have a balanced approach in all our defense procurement, whether it's dealing with USA, whether it's dealing with Russia, whether it's dealing with European suppliers or anyone. And the best is, of course, we should be Atmanirbhar. So you have any points on what I have said? I'll be grateful. Then I'll take a few questions.
No, Jan Shankar, thank you. Actually, it's a good thing that you clarified on these issues, and I hope the viewers will use it as a format to understand, because it's important to, we in Gunner Shot must emerge as informed participants in national security debate. That's what we endeavor to put across to. So thank you, Jal Shankar. Very wonderful points.
And all this is democratization of our defense. You need to understand this. This is a major thing where we are democratizing defense. Okay. At the outset, I'd like to thank RS. Yeah, thanks a lot for this contribution. It will go a long way to supporting those small ladies. This is a very interesting question. Can Trump motivate government of India to spend 2.5% of GDP on defense like it did for NATO members? Very interesting question.
No, it's good thing if Trump says it. See, we have reached close to 2%. We touched somewhere there. So if India does well economically, we should try this 2.5% or additional 1% for a decade. That'll give us that deterrence. But problem is also that we are, the bread, or what they call as butter and gun debate. That is somewhere where freebies that we are giving. But I hope our government. Yeah, I hope.
You've given that point, sir. Okay. Yeah. Despite the fact that the proverbial deep state shall remain in the background, Trump's announcements and utterances are an expression of an unfinished agenda. He says further, it would appear that Trump feels that Bharat has a place in his scheme of things and an important role to play in the present and foreseeable future. Your views?
See, nobody can disregard the fact that India is the most populous nation in the world. You cannot disregard. It has got huge, big demographic dividend. There are certain things to take them. It's a huge, big market. So these things cannot be denied. And if you need to develop a hedge against China, we are the best balancers which are available. See, America even changed the name of Pacific Command to Indo-Pacific Command. But we are careful, we didn't go completely with the Americans. We have our own strategic autonomy or whatever it is. But like somebody said, strategic autonomy cannot be an end. It can only be means. If it requires for us to cozy up to Americans, we may have to do. We should do it. So, sir, your point is valid to that. And see, our biggest fear is what? That there can be a bilateral or trilateral settlement of the world. So if US and China cozy up, then where does India's relevance goes down to a certain extent. But what is happening between America and Russia is good for us, because at least Russia is getting weaned away from China. So all these games are evolving. It's too early for us to say anything. But India will remain relevant. India will have to be taken into consideration. And please, my dear friends, Trump is only for 4 years. 2-3 months have already
Mr.
gone.
Gone.
So think of
Hey, only 2
America.
years.
And
He's
so,
only for 2 years. I mean, the way I
okay,
look at it, not 4 years, 2 years, because midterm आ जाएगा. Midterm election में अगर इसका House of Representatives या Senate में दो चार बंदे इधर उधर हो गए, तो he is lame duck after that.
so we have to remain focused. We have great relevance, sir. And Tadani, sir, that's a great point.
Yeah. Incidentally, Tadani is member of clause. Huh?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Then, this is a very thing. He's given a lot of comments. I'll just put it out, right? And then we can talk of it. I live in the US. We are crumbling. The US is in decline. The only good thing is that China won't be able to replace the American empire. Nobody can. The US is leaving the EU because we don't have money. This is very interesting. He's given, right? Okay, very interesting. Tariffs are a facade. They won't replace income tax. It's impossible. India should focus on building its own machine. I think that's a very valid point. And
Yeah,
here is
valid
a
point.
interesting. Yeah, the US didn't deliver GE engines because we don't have skilled laborers and equipment to manufacture. A very, very important thing. I mean, which many of us don't understand, and it's a fact. The same happened with Australia's nuclear submarine. Yeah, I have friends in Lockheed Martin. Many workers are pro-China and are ready to work for China. Oh, very nice. F-35 is a compromise machine. India should ask for at least one factory if it buys an F-35. Very interesting. You know, right? Then if he's, let me see if he's given any other thing. Yeah, thanks a lot, Adarsh. I think you've given me some very important points here. So, any comments on what he has said? I mean, I
No,
think that's why.
others, what you say, some of it is news to us. Some is we tend to believe it could be possible, and but I have a feeling that America also has a lot of resilience. It is a country which, after all, it filters and selects the best brains to reach there. So it will continue to do that. It will attract people to the extent that is possible. So your suggestion is good that we should ask Americans to localize, at least if possible, the engine manufacturing in India for FGFA and all. That'll be a great thing to be done. I do not know. Americans were very keen to give us a full assembly line for F-16. Old block, whatever was being called, they were very keen to give it to us. We were not ready to accept it because we feel that that is not our FGFA. We need, because that's an old technology. We need to move up. That's not fifth generation. So, like what Shankar also said, buying arms is a lengthy and tedious process. So everything will be factored. I hope so.
Yeah, there's no doubt on what you said, sir. There's no this thing at all. But they're interesting pointers which he has given,
Yeah,
which we should
very
factor
interesting.
in.
Very
Very
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
The next thing is from, this is a sparkly Prince. He says, very depressing. All I'll say is don't get depressed. This is a game we've been playing, and we've been very successful at playing this game. And the Indian Armed Forces knows how to go about doing its business. Right? Don't for one moment think that India is being browbeaten into something. Trump or no Trump, India will not get browbeaten. Let me tell you, I was speaking to someone. I must tell this with everyone. मैंने कहा यार वो ट्रम्प हमारा प्रधानमंत्री को बेवकूफ तो नहीं बना रहा है. तो द रिप्लाई आई गॉट, यार फिक्र मत करो, गुज्जू है, वो कुछ नहीं करेगा, वो उसको टोपी लगा के वापस. So your view on this, and then we will.
No, see, PM Modi is a seasoned leader. He's been PM for 10 years. He commands support, huge big majorities he's been a chief minister before that. So, and that apart, Why are we taking that? We have a system in place. We have a ministry. We have bureaucrats. We have defense planners. So all that collective wisdom is going to get applied. So don't be depressed, please. For God's sake, don't be depressed. It's India's time.
Yeah. This question, sir. Sir, GTRA has been doing research on gas turbines for decades. No success because of lack of critical engineering capabilities or availability of special materials. Your views.
See, both are there. As you are aware, that there are certain very complex welding technologies, fusing technologies at those temperatures and stresses. We don't have them currently, and there are certain coatings or these special cerametals, what are called ceramic metallic coatings and all on turbofan blades and all those. We lack those currently, but it is not something which is impossible. That thing can be enabled, empowered. If I was America, I would invest in India to that extent that I would empower this, because uh, America firstly needs to create their, this market is huge, big, and we need a hedge against China. So I hope these things will happen. I'm very hopeful.
Yeah. Okay. So this is for you. General Shab is also a शायर. तारीफ के पीछे tariff है good one. Yeah, I also felt it was a good one.
चोली के पीछे क्या है?
Okay. Arunachal says everybody, USA, China, France seems to have a trap, but where is our game?
We also are playing our game well. See, till few months back, our foreign minister was talking of plurilateralism. Today, we are trying to push plurilateralism without saying it. When we don't say it, that doesn't mean we don't believe in it. We also ideally want this world to be multipolar. But Trump doesn't feel that way. Trump has said BRICS is bloody nonsense. But India will have its own ways to do these things. So our game is also going on. Don't worry. See, our game's biggest advantage is our population, our demographic dividend, the market that we have, and nobody can ignore us. So please, don't worry. We are in the game. The fact that we were the fourth country to be called after Israel, Japan, Jordan, we were the fourth country to be called there. And we have laid down agenda for next about 30 years in this compact. So there's lots for us. That is there.
Yeah. I just want to add a thing. Our game is long term. If you see long term or long term sustenance with USA only, we don't have a choice. For many reasons, you forget about defense cooperation and all that. We have a problem with China. You're not 100% confident of Russia. France, Europe, UK, all these can't help you out. It's only a big game player like USA which can help you out. And you have deep links with the USA. See, 5 years back, just close your eyes and think. Did you hear a person who would give Bhagavad Gita to Prime Minister Modi and who becomes the Director of National Intelligence in USA? Can you think of it? It's happening. You have one person who says, I'm a Hindu and I'm proud, and he's now today Director FBI. At some level, there is a change which is happening. And today I can count in this administration half a dozen chaps who are actually pro India and anti China. Right? Your political power is increasing in USA. To that extent, if there is any one country where India's external political power is increasing, it is USA. Right? And at the end of the day, a lot of it, you know, devolves into politics. How much you can make inroads into politics. Okay. And for those of you who have not seen earlier days, I'm sure General KJ will also agree with me. In our younger days, people were, the Americans were completely against us. From then
Yes,
to now, the shift is 100%. Right? So we don't, what has happened now with those Democrats and some Poros and all is nothing. It's a bachon ka khel hai, which we can tackle. Don't worry.
yeah, yeah. I fully agree with you.
Right. Yeah. Now, this is from Venki Pinamani. He says, "Sir, as usual, awesome dissection and dissemination of information. Great questions by the audience. Thank you, sir, for giving this kind of a thing. Uh, yeah, this is interesting. Again, Arunachal says, can leadership in China change like it did in USA? We have heard of a coup some years back. Your take
This
on
is
it,
your
and I will.
specialty.
Yeah.
This is
You
for
see,
Jan Shankar.
look, the point is this: there is something happening in China which is unusual, and I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. Xi Jinping has done a complete U-turn on private business, and he started it yesterday. Why is this U-turn happening? What are the larger ramifications for China? Has he been forced into it? Is something I will talk tomorrow. So all of you who are watching, tomorrow will be completely on China, dissecting China, right? The flip of what I'm doing today. So will you join in back? Because I think this U-turn by China has a deeper meaning, and that deeper meaning, let me put it. ये रुझान जो है मैं ना पहले बता देता हूँ. China, you would have heard of this term called Japanification of China. What is Japanification of China? Very few of us have understood. Today, analysis are coming out slowly over the past 6 months. What is Japanification of China? And it is horrendous. If that happens, China has sunk. I'm making this statement, right? And if that is why Xi Jinping has taken this kind of a U-turn, and we'll discuss it tomorrow. A deep seek, weep seek, and all are all chicken feed in front of what's happening, where China is. You'll have to also see what earlier Adarsh Upadhyay said about China. China doesn't have the capability, and we are, this is what is coming out. And today, if you see the two articles which have come out in the recent past on China, one, a Rand publication by a chap called Timothy Heath. He says PLA can't fight. PLA can't fight battles today. He's given a logic why it can't fight a battle. Whether you agree with it or not, no one else has thought of it this way earlier. The second, in foreign affairs, you see, there's an article by a Russian who says China cannot lead an alliance or China will not lead an alliance. The logic in both. So we need to focus there, right? So we'll do that tomorrow. So sorry for putting all this. Okay, now, yeah, Vic Malik says, Sarvatra Izzat ho Iqbal, thanks a lot. It's so nice. And he says, thank you, it's me thinking, thanks a lot again. Yeah. And let me see if there's any. Yeah, I don't see any other. Okay, this is something which everyone must know. Can we integrate F-35 with Indian network which receives and shares the data with sensors from countries of different origin?
No, sir, no. Rashid, see, that is the challenge of buying F-35. That F-35 would be applied then only in those roles, standalone kind of thing, because the American system does not allow integration into this kind of thing. That challenge will remain.
I mean, let me put it. I have a slightly different take on this, sir. Because what we need to do is that you can integrate the F-35s into your command and control system. You have to do a indirect, I would say, roundabout way of integration. The systems will not talk. The Russian system will never be allowed to talk with the US system, and especially F-35. It will not be allowed to talk.
But S-400 when it is there.
you have to talk it through a backend, and you have so. In fact, if I were anyone today, I will be very, very, very conscious of developing a integration platform based on AI, based on own semiconductors. If your integration platform is strong and unhackable, you can handle all this different kinds of equipment. And I'll take it. I'll put this across. Uh, you know, again, so as part of information, on 28th in IIT Madras, there are 23 IITs, about another 14, 15 top engineering colleges, and a whole lot are getting together to discuss these issues. What can India do for aviation? I mean, it's a larger thing, but one thing is about aviation and defense sector. I'll take this up in that thing, right? And I will discuss. Maybe we have to start thinking of different structures. So, anything else? Otherwise, I'll.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful and very interesting also.
Thanks a lot for this contribution. So honored. And I'd like to thank all of you for these wonderful questions. And more importantly, I'd like to thank General KJ Singh for this fantastic exposure.
Thank you, sir.
Let me tell you, this kind of gyan you'll not get anywhere. Day before
So
yesterday, I put out.
Please follow, like, subscribe, and be faithful viewers of this channel. Thank you.
Yeah. And day before yesterday, I put out a thing on Indo-US defense cooperation. That was just skimming the surface, laying ground for what we have spoken today. And going ahead, I will take this to a logical conclusion. We'll have more opinions. We have more opinions, we have more knowledge, we have more understanding of the whole thing. And I'm sure those who matter also will see this at the right places. Thanks a lot. So thanks a lot
Thank
once
you, sir.
again. Good evening and Jai Hind to all of you.
Jai Hind, sir. Good evening, sir. Jai Hind.